Over all these years, we've just been bombarded with so much FUD around XRP. And it's honestly wild. First, it was the Bitcoin maximalists coming at us. Then the Ethereum crowd jumped in. And now even the Chainlink supporters are throwing shade at XRP. It genuinely feels like XRP has become everyone's favorite punching bag in crypto. And I'm sitting here scratching my head, wondering why on earth that happened. Like, seriously, what did XRP ever do to deserve all this hate? Why does everyone seem to have beef with what Ripple's building? I keep looking at this whole situation and I just can't wrap my head around what the actual problem is here. It's crazy how XRP became the black sheep that everyone loves to pile on. But I think it's probably because XRP content absolutely crushes it engagement wise. These content creators see attention drifting away from Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe even Chainlink. And they're like, aha, I know exactly how to get people fired up again. Let's just drop XRP into the conversation and watch the fireworks. And honestly, this whole thing has been dragging on forever. Like, think back to when that lawsuit first hit. It was absolutely insane. I'll never forget seeing all the Ethereum and Bitcoin maximalists literally throwing parties and cheering like their team just won the Super Bowl. Even Vitalik Buterin was out there on X, practically doing victory laps over the lawsuit. Can you imagine the complete opposite scenario, though? Picture this. What if tomorrow a lawsuit got slapped on Ethereum or Bitcoin? You think we'd see XRP supporters throwing confetti and popping champagne? Not a chance in hell. Nobody would be that petty about a lawsuit targeting one of the biggest players in crypto. It's just mind-blowing to think about actually rooting for a lawsuit like that. And here's the kicker. If Ripple had just thrown in the towel and settled quietly, which they totally had the cash to do, our entire crypto landscape would be unrecognizable right now, because you better believe Gensler would have taken that settlement as his green light to go absolutely nuclear on every single altcoin out there, slapping security labels left and right like he was handing out parking tickets. You know what? I keep bringing this up because remember back in January, I was already talking about this exact thing. I was like, guys, there's so much fear, uncertainty, and doubt being thrown at XRP right now. And honestly, it was the Bitcoin maximalists just going absolutely crazy with the FUD campaign. I mean, they were literally talking about it every single day because XRP's price was just absolutely exploding and they were losing their minds about it. I covered all of this right here. And I remember saying something like, just picture this. What's going to happen when all these massive developments actually hit? We're talking XRP ETFs launching, XRP potentially flipping Ethereum again, major banks jumping on board with Ripple's custody solutions for all kinds of different use cases. And then boom, US banks making official announcements that they're adopting XRP. It's wild. There's just so much incredible stuff happening with XRP. But I keep coming back to this topic because we were getting absolutely destroyed by Bitcoin maxis spreading their hate everywhere. And guess what's happening now? The Chainlink army has joined the party and they're coming for us too. But here's the thing that really gets me. This is like the ultimate proof of XRP's power. You want to know how I know? Just look at the engagement numbers when someone tags XRP in their post. I swear to you, if this exact same tweet only mentioned Link and completely left XRP out of it, the likes and views would be absolutely dead. That's the secret sauce right there. These maxis aren't stupid. They know exactly what they're doing when they target XRP. They're basically using us as their engagement farm because tagging XRP is like hitting the viral button and gives them crazy recognition and exposure they'd never get otherwise. And now what's the latest drama? Everyone's pushing this whole story about how Ripple insiders are supposedly dumping XRP left and right. You know what? Crypto Insight UK totally nailed it on X. They pointed out something we've all been seeing lately. There's been this whole buzz about Ripple executives dumping their XRP. And hey, that's actually happening. But here's the thing. They're just taking profits. And honestly, is anyone really surprised by this anymore? I mean, come on. They've been offloading XRP for what feels like forever now. But here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about what's actually been going down recently. Those Bitcoin maximalists and whales, yeah, they've been selling their Bitcoin too. And get me started on the miners. They're constantly selling Bitcoin because, well, they've got bills to pay and operations to run. But it's funny how you never hear the Bitcoin crowd mentioning that little detail, right? So here's the thing. They launched this absolutely massive ICO that basically let these whale investors swoop in and gobble up tons of Ethereum. And guess what? We're seeing now that these same big players have been dumping their Ethereum left and right. But wait, it gets even more interesting with Solana, right? Because Solana had an ICO too. Remember how Solana went absolutely bonkers back in 2021? That wasn't by accident. All those VCs were throwing their weight behind it. Here's the deal. When VCs get involved, they create this incredible buzz. They get the media talking about Solana, and boom, prices go absolutely wild. Think about it from their perspective. If I'm a VC who's put serious money into a project, you better believe I'm going to move heaven and earth to make that investment skyrocket. And that's exactly what we see happening with these crypto ICOs time and time again. So yeah, that whole pump happened. And then what? The whales cashed out of Solana to, yeah, you know what's wild? XRP is literally the only project that gets this kind of scrutiny. Think about it. We've got all these other major crypto projects where whales are absolutely dumping massive amounts. And does anyone bat an eye? Nope, crickets. You won't see a single headline about it. But the moment, and I mean the very second, something happens with XRP, suddenly everyone and their brother is talking about it. And why? Because it's pure clickbait gold. It drives engagement through the roof, gets people fired up, and keeps everyone glued to their screens. Here's what cracks me up, though, and this comes from Neats Bucks. Hopefully I'm nailing that pronunciation. All these keyboard warriors on X can trash talk XRP until they're blue in the face, but XRP just doesn't give a damn about their insults. You want to know the real truth? While everyone's busy arguing and throwing shade, the XRP ledger just keeps chugging along like nothing happened. It's literally indifferent to all the noise and drama swirling around it. Pretty funny when you think about it. Ripple's momentum is absolutely incredible right now. They're constantly expanding and adding real-world value. The XRP ledger ecosystem, it's exploding with new projects that actually solve problems. And get this, institutional players are finally waking up and paying serious attention. You've got treasury companies jumping in left and right. ETFs are practically knocking down the door. Companies worldwide are saying, yes, we want to build on XRP ledger. Here's what gets me excited. Every single day, regular folks discover XRP, dive into what it's about, and think, wow, this makes sense. Then they become true believers. The army just keeps expanding. The on-chain numbers don't lie either. Everything's trending upward. That lawsuit nightmare, ancient history. Now regulations are actually working with XRP ledger instead of trying to destroy it, something we've been hoping for forever. I'm telling you, when you step back and look at everything happening around XRP, and XRPL, the bullish signals are just overwhelming. CME Group just blew everyone's minds. Their XRP futures smashed through 1 billion in open interest like it was nothing. 3 months flat. That's record-breaking territory. Then Gemini swoops in with an XRP credit card, and suddenly their app is eating Coinbase's lunch in mere days. Talk about making waves. Cast your mind back. Wasn't XRP supposedly finished just a couple years ago? Even back then, you had the usual suspects on Twitter throwing around their dramatic XRP is doomed theatrics. Plot twist, they're still doing it. While XRP is charging ahead like a freight train, honestly, par for the course. But here's what really matters. XRP is building serious steam, and there are so many potential game changers on the horizon that could rocket this thing into another stratosphere. The secret sauce, people are genuinely falling in love with XRP. Newcomers keep stumbling onto this world and getting completely hooked by what they find, the real world utility, the passionate community, all of it. Nothing's written in stone though. Crypto's this wild, ever-shifting landscape where today's underdog becomes tomorrow's champion. Plix XRP is this thriving community peer-to-peer blockchain that everyone's buzzing about, developing on, and championing. That's transformation level progress right there. Here's my take. XRP couldn't care less about the Twitter noise. You shouldn't either. This list right here perfectly captures why XRP is about to absolutely explode beyond where we see it today. It's honestly the exact same reason I felt compelled to share this post with you all, because I genuinely don't think this crypto space has any clue what's headed our way with XRP. I mean, seriously, when you actually look at XRP's price movement and study the charts, literally everything surrounding XRP is screaming buy signal, yet somehow we're drowning in negativity on Twitter. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me. Now let's chat about these treasury companies. These are just the 10 that have gone public with their announcements. And hey, Deep Zant nailed it perfectly when they pointed out these are only the publicly announced ones. Check this out. Trident's holds 500 million. Webis jumped in with 300 million. Vivo's sitting pretty with 121 million. Then you've got Logistics at 50 million. Hyperscale grabbed 10 million. WorkSport scooped up 5 million. Even BC Bud with their 250,000. I'm telling you, as these numbers cascade down, the list 17 million here, 10 million there. There's this massive untapped value just waiting to flood into XRP that most people are completely blind to. And here's the crazy part. These are literally just the 10 companies that decided to go public with their XRP treasury announcements. Can you imagine how many other treasury companies are quietly building up their XRP operations behind the scenes right now? We're probably only seeing the tip of the iceberg here, and this momentum is just going to keep building and building. But wait, it gets even better when you factor in the ETFs, because honestly, what's actually standing in the way of these ETFs getting approved? Absolutely nothing at this point. And here's why that's such a game changer. We're talking about the biggest tidal wave of institutional money you can imagine, because these are spot-based ETFs that directly drive up the actual demand and price of XRP itself. Speaking of which, check out what just dropped. James Seifert shared some incredible news. Amplify ETFs just officially filed paperwork for an XRP option income ETF. I mean, are you kidding me? This is incredibly bullish news that should have everyone's attention right now. Okay, so here's the thing. We just got another XRP ETF thrown into the mix. Can you believe we're now looking at 15 different filings and applications for XRP ETFs just sitting there waiting for approval in the US? Listen, I'm going to be straight with you. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is prepared for what's about to hit XRP. We're talking billions upon billions flowing in, treasury companies jumping on board left and right. Seriously, folks, XRP has become so incredibly hot right now that literally everyone in crypto, even the diehard maximalists of other coins, are throwing shade at XRP because they can't ignore it anymore. Think about that for a second. If we're seeing this kind of crazy demand just within our little crypto bubble, can you even imagine what's going to happen when those ETF announcements start dropping? Picture what happens when more treasury companies start making their moves public. Picture this. What happens when the XRP ledger really starts expanding everywhere, when adoption absolutely explodes? Seriously, folks, we haven't even scratched the surface of some of the major announcements that are coming for XRP yet. Look at all this chaos, all the drama, all the FUD, all the absolutely insane hype swirling around XRP right now. Now, here's where things get really wild with these ETFs. Check out what we've got here from the Pallbearer Network. The Canary Capital CEO just dropped a bombshell saying an XRP ETF could pull in $5 billion in just the first month alone and potentially crush Ethereum's performance purely from financial services demand. You gotta see this.
Into this. The Ripple ETF or XRP ETF approval odds right now on Polymarket hovering at around 86%. So one of its highest points, but it looks like this is going to happen. And what is the likelihood of the timing for this right now?
I would guess that XRP would probably be this year. Either Eric or James from Bloomberg simply said, well, if there's futures at Coinbase, then you probably get an ETF in 2025.
Your statement at that time was $5 billion in the first month. Are you still holding to that? Do you think that's a possibility?
I really am. I would say after Bitcoin, XRP is probably the most well-known on Wall Street and on finance circles. And then ETH is actually probably number 3. So if you think about it that way, I do believe that XRP could potentially outperform ETH just from, pure financial services standpoint.
Look, this guy is totally nailing it. Of course, you'll have tons of people screaming, he's lost his mind, going, are you kidding me? XRP over Ethereum? Ethereum has to be number 2, especially since he's literally ranking Ethereum 3rd here. But here's what's actually happening on the ground. XRP is sitting pretty at number 2 for Wall Street's radar and priority list. And honestly, this shouldn't blow anyone's mind. Why am I not even remotely surprised? Just wrap your head around all those use cases XRP was practically born for. Think about how absolutely gigantic Ripple's presence has gotten. Don't forget, Ripple basically carpet bombed Wall Street with advertisements. Wall Street isn't sleeping on this. They've got XRP locked in their crosshairs. Sure, Ethereum ETFs are already live and kicking. We can see those performance metrics. They're cruising along nicely. But here's the kicker most people are missing. XRP has every potential to absolutely steamroll Ethereum's results. This isn't wishful thinking. It's already happened. XRP has already smoked Ethereum if you peek at that 12-month track record. So now picture XRP ETFs just absolutely annihilating Ethereum's performance numbers. Now imagine XRP actually flipping Ethereum this cycle. Just picture the absolute insanity that would unleash across crypto. And here's the thing, it's totally within the realm of possibility. This is literally the ultimate underdog story. The most despised coin transforms into the most adored, which then becomes the biggest winner of them all. XRP operates on a completely different level in this space. It's one of those rare projects that survived everything thrown at it. They couldn't destroy it, they couldn't suppress it, they couldn't make it disappear. And now all that built up pressure is showing us exactly how explosive this thing can get. Looking back, these past 12 months have been absolutely phenomenal for XRP's price action. I genuinely believe we've still got plenty of fuel left in this rocket. We really need to stay sharp and pay attention to what's unfolding. All right, folks, that wraps things up. Really hope you enjoyed diving into this with me today. If this got you pumped up, definitely smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell because I've got tons more free content coming your way. Thanks for watching. Catch you later, everyone.